Oh, 9 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point and Gamecock Central takeover of another Firehouse Subs. Really one of our favorite Firehouse Subs location here at 633 Main Street, right in the heart of campus. I think third or fourth time I think we've been here, guys. If I'm keeping count, I know we were here with Leggett a couple years ago. Been here a few times since then, and yeah, one of our usual stops on the Firehouse Subs rotation.
Have we been to them all yet?
We've got 15 now locally.
We did we have, Chris. Was that a nod?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
We
so.
done a grand opening at Spring Valley. Also,
We did. That was 15
That was number 15.
because he had 14 for
More
a
to
while.
come too.
More to come.
which is exciting.
So more opportunities for us
They
to
were
get.
literally grand
and about.
opening it over our heads.
Yes.
Like that
Yeah.
was the literal.
It was an efficient operation.
When
Yeah.
when we were setting up, the dude was hanging the wires for the speakers above us, and yeah, that was literally the first day. So this location's been here a while.
I'm just excited. Like this entire show to me is just building towards Tyler having the spicy dill hook and ladder with the last stab pickle.
I won't lie. I woke up a little nervous today.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's like
Jack, are you in?
it's gonna happen.
I am definitely.
If you're still here,
I'll hang out here for a
I
bit.
mean, you live right around the corner.
Yeah, it's like, what do I have to do today? I could.
you don't have 3 sports to cover.
Yeah, it'll be like, yeah, you know what?
4.
You don't have an NIT to cover.
Someone will ask me what I do today. Yeah, I didn't work or anything. I decided to eat the last stab pickle with the the spicy. I don't know which one would be better though. So it's both hook and ladders, right? So
Oh, well, all right. So no one's going to give you any points for trying the zesty garlic.
No.
Yeah, that's mild. That's a
That's just
2 on
two.
the.
That's a 2.
It's really
Heat level.
more just about
So
trying
the people want
heat 10.
the people
'Cause
want the
the-
crowd pleaser.
They
Yeah,
want you to hurt.
you've watched the Hot Ones,
Of course.
like YouTube series.
Yes.
Like that's
Love
the last sauce they use,
Oh
and
yeah,
one that everybody gets choked up on.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. Why not? What else do I have going on?
There you go. Well, I mean, we do have March Madness. but
Got
that
to
gets
make it back to
rolling.
that
Gets
so.
rolling 12-10ish when Creighton and Louisville play. So got a little time between now and then. We'll talk plenty about as the 2 days have finally arrived. The best 2 days of the entire sports year are wall-to-wall madness today and tomorrow.
Honestly, the best weekend in general because you have the round of 32 going on Saturday and Sunday, and couple that with the fact that the women's tournament's also going to be going on at the same time. So
Yep.
lots of stuff going on, and I know South Carolina men's basketball is not in the tournament, but hey, it's a lot of good teams out there.
We'll dive into plenty of that as we're out here again going up until noon. Store opens up at 10 o'clock. Come by and see us. Got some T-shirts and stuff. Our guy, Dreamy Josh, not going to be making an appearance today, which, given the fact there's food, is shocking because that's usually his thing.
Can we give away tickets without Josh?
That's the thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
We do have more teams to give away for our bracket challenge.
Okay.
But that's over the phone.
I have T-shirts. Come get a
We have
T-shirt from
T-shirts.
me.
Chris,
Come get a Firehouse
Chris,
sub from here.
Chris will be the T-shirt distributor today.
Official.
But I've not been informed of any tickets for baseball or anything like that unless Josh texts us while he's in his meeting.
I'll find out.
So,
I'll effort that. Yep.
We'll wait on that. Before we get things rolling here, talking some March Madness, we do, as always, at 9 o'clock. Ed, if you can get that on the hotkeys for me, have to hit our Sandstorm pick-me-up. Momentarily. There it is. And, of course, the sounder that goes along with it to the left.
Time to get hyped.
Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm.
Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It's time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. Have we got our brackets filled out? The first 4 wrapped up last night. Xavier with a big comeback against Texas to eliminate the first SEC team. Do we count Texas getting in by getting eliminated in the first 4? Or is it only 13 teams in the proper tournament now?
So I have not made an official bracket yet. I spent an hour last night making a mascot bracket with my girlfriend Caroline.
Okay.
And, we ended up with Zippy, by the way, from Akron, as the champion. But anyway,
What's funny? That bracket's probably going to do better than your actual one.
Exactly. And so, by the way, guys, I don't know if you guys knew, Xavier, they have the strangest mascot you guys can imagine.
It's Musketeer.
No. Well, they have a secondary mascot now too. It's literally called the blue blob, I think is what it's called.
Blob.
It is I looked it up last night because I'm Googling the mascots and stuff, and I see it. I'm like, what is this? Like, they're the Musketeers, but strangest thing. So, we were going to go with Xavier last night, but then we saw Texas was winning, and then, we're like, we'll just scrap it. But
that's like, what is it? Is it Grover from Sesame Street? If he was blue and kind of fat?
I guess. I don't. It was the weirdest thing yesterday.
Got a little Elmo in there too.
Yeah.
Like a blue
Yeah,
Elmo.
A
okay.
little cartoony in the
Definitely
eyes.
a Sesame Street vibe.
Definitely
Yeah.
that, like the eyes, the
So,
nose.
Yeah, the more you know. But
Why do teams do the two? It's like Ole Miss, we're the Rebels,
the
but we have
shark.
a shark,
yeah,
land shark.
Is that only for football though? Do they do that in their other sports?
I think they've had
That
it.
makes it even more confusing.
I think they've
don't
had
know.
it out at basketball too,
Yeah,
which
like
it's so strange.
Auburn is Tigers, but they have War Eagle.
Alabama's the Crimson Tide, but they have they have an elephant. It's just it makes no sense. But have you guys made actual brackets yet? I'm gonna make one today, I think.
Yeah, I made
I
mine
have.
last night.
Yep. Men's and women's.
I still got to make the
I've done
women's one.
both.
Yeah.
I have not.
I don't have it in
It's
front of
okay.
me,
I'm
so
right
I
there with
probably.
you.
I may do it while we're sitting here talking.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
Now, is it one bracket or do you like a chaos bracket too?
I mean, there's always gonna be chaos, right? I mean, it's just I don't know. What is a good March Madness bracket without a few upsets? Like, what have we learned over the years about March Madness? Chaos is everywhere.
But
so.
no, he's saying, do you just fill out one?
Like,
I hear what you're saying.
Like you have one that's pretty straightforward and like what you kind of think is going to happen, and one that's just mass
One where
chaos,
like Akron wins.
full of
Yeah,
upsets
yeah.
and things like that. Like
Oh, yeah.
there's no seed higher than like 9 in your Final
I
Four
think
or
I
something.
think you got it right. I mean,
I believe it should just be one bracket. That's your bracket, and I mean it's gonna blow up.
That's
at some
what I'm
point, right?
trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know some people do like on ESPN. It lets you do multiple brackets
Sure.
on one login. I think it should just here's your bracket, and
Have y'all ever
That's that.
won like a bracket challenge, like a work one or a pool
No.
pool one or anything like that?
I
No.
don't think I have.
Mine's normally just cooked after like the first day.
I at the prior radio station I worked at, this was 2021 when Baylor and Gonzaga played for the national championship. I thought my bracket was done after like the second round because I had lost so many first round games. But then I checked on it before the Final Four and I was in second. And if Gonzaga had won the national championship, I would have won like $250, but they lost to Baylor and I got nothing.
Didn't even have a second place.
Didn't even have second place. Well, like
No.
it was something about the way the points worked. I dropped from second to third, and third was nothing. You got a little bit for
No
second,
bronze.
but nothing.
Okay.
So I came close, very close. But
here's the real
Not quite.
question: do you guys do a paper bracket or a online bracket, or do you do both?
I've only ever done online. If you give me a paper bracket, I'll fill one out.
I got paper ones at the house.
Sure, we
And-
got a printer back here.
Yeah, in the office.
Yeah.
I've done paper, but I've done some of both. I've got paper at the house right now. By the way, guys, Tyler, you mentioned Texas.
Yep.
Did y'all see the news about Texas this morning from Horns 24/7? Chip Brown, longtime guy. They're going to dismiss Rodney Terry. It looked like he had saved his job
Well, it
ish,
an extent.
getting into the tournament was
staved off.
yes. If they were to make a little bit of a run and say Sweet 16 or something like that, he would have been coming back. But he has underwhelmed. They made the Elite Eight in the first year when he took over after Chris Beard, but that was all with Chris Beard's players. Since then, got bounced in the second round last year. Obviously, got bounced in the first four last night. I think this was on the wall unless they made kind of a deep run.
Well, and the fascinating thing, one fascinating element to this is it's being reported by Chip Brown that the leading candidate is Sean Miller from Xavier, who just eliminated Texas. So
Hey, you beat us. You want this job?
yeah, so that leaves and Will Wade taking the NC State job
We're going to get to that.
was going to be
That-
probably a candidate there.
There is a look when you have 32 first round games. There's obviously a lot of storylines baked into so many of these teams, but I feel like this year more than ever, we have so many unique storylines revolving around certain teams, like somebody like McNeese State, where Will Wade, it's not only that he's going to take the NC State job, he's already talking about it. Like a lot of coaches will kind of kick the can down the road, say, I'm focused on this game. Like he said yesterday, yeah, I've talked to them. And like it's all but confirmed that he's going to be taking the job whenever McNeese gets eliminated.
When he got asked the question yesterday, and then he says, Yes, with that little smirk on his face. I'm like, I don't. Normally, like you said, coaches will just deny it. They don't want to talk about it. They got a game to focus on. But he's already accepted the job and everything. And I can't imagine.
Reportedly.
Reportedly.
Allegedly.
But what does that do to the player? Like,
Well,
to him?
It's a unique balance, I guess, because his reasoning was like, hey, I don't want to lie to these guys. I don't want to sit here and tell them, hey, what you're hearing is not true, because it is. So I can appreciate the honesty, but how much of your focus, because again, this is a tournament, how much of your focus is locked in on this as opposed to, hey, I got the Cincy State job opening up, or that I'm going to whenever we get eliminated. By the way, the portal opens up next week, and you kind of need to be on top of that as soon as possible. So his mind's going to be in other places. I imagine his players, will be distracted to some degree. They're obviously going to go out there and play their best, but if they're getting bounced in the first round today, because I think a lot of people were picking McNeese as maybe a potential 12-over-5 upset over Clemson. Now probably not the case because you have this layer baked into it.
Not that I would typically maybe say this about Will Way's decision making, but I think I actually, in a weird way, do kind of respect this exact situation because, I mean, guys, let's be honest, it's not the way it was 5 years ago with your roster. The players are year to year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if I, as a coach, am going to ask my players like, hey, guys, I need you to be honest with me. If you're thinking about transferring, if you already decided you're transferring after the year, I want you to feel like you can just tell me, and there's not going to be any hard feelings. And so you're a massive hypocrite if you're telling your players, hey, nobody's going to be mad at you. We just need to know what your status is. If you feel like you're transferring at the end of the year, let somebody know as soon as possible. And then they're going to have to read about you, the coach, in all the headlines leading up to the game. And then they're still going to be talking about it. They're still going to be hearing about it. But they're just going to have to talk about it amongst themselves as players. So I kind of like we'll see. I mean, if they get blown out today, I'll change my opinion. But I wonder if this is maybe the direction we're headed. Like there's always just been this disconnect where coaches are almost forced to lie in press conferences. Maybe there's a level of respect. The guys are playing for a year-to-year team anyway. Maybe if you're on this team, maybe you don't care that he's not going to be back next year. You're just like, all right, we've got that out of the way. Let's just focus on this year, and then we move forward. It's no different than if you're a lottery pick and you're playing in the tournament and you already know this is your last games in that uniform. You're still going to go perform. You're not thinking about the NBA while you're on the court, at the biggest spectacle arguably that college athletics has. So we'll see how it works out, but I'm not ready to just say, hey, this is silly. I kind of, at least if it's played out the way he says, that he was just honest with his guys about it, then I maybe kind of respect that.
It might be less distracting to not have to wonder about it, where you've got reports coming out, but then you got your coach saying to the media, no, or given, kind of the boilerplate answer, I'm focused on my team. And then he hasn't communicated anything to you. And now you are wondering, right? Is he in? Is he out? Is he leaving? Establishing nowadays that trust of, hey, what are you thinking? I mean, Dan Hurley just went on 60 Minutes saying, hey, half my roster's going in the portal, or thinking about it. Where is he getting that information from? Probably directly from some of them. We saw West Virginia's coach, Darian DeVries, taking the Indiana job, basically admit yesterday that it was an ongoing process through the season. In the past, in college sports, even if you knew that a coach was negotiating with the school, the coach would go to great lengths to hide that, right? So it didn't look like a distraction. So there is a difference now, I think, that's kind of coming up in college athletics.
A lot more storylines hit on as March Madness gets rolling, officially coming up later today with the round of 64. By the way, you can go hang out with Terry over at Twin Peaks from 12 until 3, and then Jay and Elijah from 3 until 6, hanging out watching all the first round games. We're broadcasting live at Firehouse Subs here at 633 Main Street, going until noon here on the game. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point Gamecock Central Takeover. We are hanging out at Firehouse Sub 633 Main Street right here in the heart of campus, getting you set for a fun day of March Madness getting rolling coming up here in a couple hours. Again, you can hang out with Terry, Jay, and Elijah from noon until 6 over at Twin Peaks down in the Vista as all those games get rolling. Of course, tons of TVs there to take in all that great action. We're kind of talking about these storylines, a lot of them involving coaches going on around some of these first-round games. Mentioned Will Wade, who's going to get his opportunity to get back to the power ranks by taking over the NC State job, whatever McNeese gets eliminated, which, by the way, it's really funny, now for a guy like Will Wade, who, again, was at LSU and got in trouble with the whole wiretapping thing, now that NIL's obviously legal and all those kind of things, that you kind of look back and see how funny it was, the kind of things that coaches were getting in trouble for back in the day that are now legal. So he's obviously going to make his way back into the ACC ranks now by taking over that NC State job. On the other side of their matchup today, coming up with Clemson, which tips off at 3:15 on True TV, Brad Brownell, who was rumored to be looking at the Indiana job, was just extended yesterday by Clemson, keeping him around for longer. So no distractions on the Clemson side of things, as they know their head coach isn't going anywhere.
Well, the irony there, too, is you had Brownell connected to Indiana, at least in terms of reports. And if that had happened, or if that looked like that was going to happen, I think Will Wade is probably your target for Clemson.
Probably.
And I would imagine would have taken the job, as a guy that went to Clemson. So,
had another case of two teams playing each other. One team was about to take the other team's job.
I mean, it really is. And, going back to what you said about Texas earlier, too, reading during the break the rest of that update from Horns 247, apparently they have been enamored by Sean Miller for a long time. Texas has. And if Terry did not have that run a couple of years ago, Chip Brown is saying Texas was going to hire Sean Miller then. And weirdly enough, at the time, Miller and Xavier lost to Texas in the 2023 Sweet 16 matchup. So it's kind of a situation where you've got these weird just underlying connections and storylines and all that. But, going back to Will Wade, if that ends up happening for NC State, you got to give them credit.
Sure.
That's a pretty good hire. And he probably would have been the guy for Clemson if Brownell had left for Indiana.
And he's won everywhere he's been, Will Wade, that is. And look, he won a little bit at LSU. He was at VCU, Chattanooga. So he's been there, done that. And, obviously at McNeese now he's having a lot of success there. It feels like the right time for NC State to make a hire like this, because keep in mind, they were literally just in the Final Four less than a year ago now.
Well, they won that miracle run that nobody saw coming, and DJ Burns became, America's favorite player for a month.
Yeah. So, you have to factor that in too, but, not being able to capitalize off that, it's, it's something that you need to, and they were going to fire their coach. I think had they not made that run to the Final Four, because think about it, they were going into the ACC tournament needing to win 5 games in 5 days, and of course they did, and then they went on their run. So given how this season went and you lost so much talent from last year, including DJ Burns, it was time to make a move, and this is a very good hire if it does officially go through. And then for Clemson, bringing back Brad Brownell, that's a big move too.
Well, and looking at the Will Wade side of things when it comes to NC State, obviously he was fired because it obviously started with the controversy of the FBI wiretap and all that kind of stuff. He's been a good coach, and college basketball affords you the opportunity because there's so many schools, 350 plus schools at the Division I level. You can get fired from a place like LSU. You can go to a place like McNeese or pick some other mid-major out there and kind of rehabilitate yourself, work yourself back up, and eventually time heals everything. And as long as it's not something super controversial, you can find your way back. Look, obviously, look what Rick Pitino is doing at St. John's, and that team can go on a very deep run in the tournament this year. So as long as you can find a place to land and win at that place, you can find your way back to a major power school at some point.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about that time period too, you were talking about how different things are now with NIL. You had some coaches who were allegedly involved in the wiretap stuff, that were looking at prison time. Mm-hmm. You had some coaches that ended up losing their jobs. and then you had some coaches that just were like Teflon and just kind of it just rolled right on by them, and they were completely fine with their careers.
We've gone from like having the FBI involved in college basketball investigations to you guys do whatever you want, you know. But it caused another kind of ripple effect in that. Remember when it was all about the shoe company influence?
Yep.
And that not to say that shoe companies, they still obviously have influence over the game of college basketball, but they were so important to recruiting. That's just kind of shifted to cash, you know, or other brands. And obviously shoe companies and apparel, they still have a say, but that caused another kind of seismic shift. But on Brownell, guys, I mean, that's been a very interesting and complicated relationship, I would say, between Clemson and Brownell. And it is a case study that sometimes, if there's been pockets of success, there can be a compelling case to where you can look back at a certain like key point and say, I would have understood if they made a change a few years ago, but they didn't. They almost did.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck with him, and then look what happened, right?
Sure.
Like they have really thrived. You know, they made an Elite Eight run last year. Like this
Yep.
has been a very good program, and so there's been a lot of frustration. I know a bunch of Clemson people. There have been years where they're ready to move on, but then you stick with it, and this happens. You know, it's really up there. Same thing. Dabo Swinney. I think it kind of gets lost. Dabo Swinney nearly got fired at Clemson. The 5-game losing streak to South Carolina being a huge reason for that. They stuck with it. They're glad they did. You know, so there's sometimes when it's completely obvious that you have to make a change. I don't know if it's ever been totally obvious there, and they stuck with it, and it's worked out for them.
And don't forget, no matter how deep Clemson goes, Carolina does have a win over them this year. The best win of the entire season in overtime.
Well, Clemson's only lost what?
They haven't lost much.
They lost 2 conference games, right?
Yeah. Got
4 or 5 overall,
They're
maybe
27-6 this
6.
season.
Yeah. As much of an anomaly as that seems like right now, South Carolina did win that game, and that is what they're hanging their hat on for this year, I guess.
Yeah, they've had a really good season out there. Clemson, like South Carolina lost aside, like this is a team that the 5-12 games in the tournament are always so tricky because teams, you know, at 12 seeds normally end up winning these games, but for a team like Clemson, they get past this first round here. I definitely could see them going on a deep run here, just like last year.
We'll get into more March Madness stuff as the morning rolls along. Going to be out here until noon, leading you up until Terry takes over out at Twin Peaks, where the games get rolling a little after noon out there. But we're diving into some spring football stuff. Did hear from a couple players yesterday, including Nick Harbor, elaborating a little bit more on his decision to not take part in track for this spring, focusing solely on football. That's coming up next. We're broadcasting live at Firehouse Sub 633 Main Street, right here in the heart of USC campus. Come by and see us when the store opens up at 10 o'clock. Tyler, Wes, Chris, and Jack going until noon on the game. Again, it is the Extra Point and Gamecock Central takeover of Firehouse Sub at 633 Main Street, right here in the heart of campus. Again, store opens up at 10 o'clock. Come by and see us. Enjoy a delicious Firehouse Sub. We have some t-shirts to give away, and Chris has confirmed from Jimmy Josh, who is not here, we will have some tickets to give away for the Tennessee Series. #1 defending national champions coming to town next weekend. So if you come by when the store opens up, we can give you some tickets to some of those games. We'll get into some spring football discussion here in just a second. But as we've been doing past couple days, we have more spots available for our 107.5 The Game bracket challenge. Got to give them all away before the bracket gets rolling here coming up in a couple of hours. So 2 more chances for you to win. Callers number 6 and 8 right now at 803-404-6100. Caller number 6 will get the Arizona Wildcats. Caller number 8, you will get the Akron Zips. And again, you hold on to that team, and if they end up winning it all, we'll be in contact with you, and you will win baseball season tickets for the rest of the season. Ed Bird, before you grab that phone call, let's hear cut number 1. This is Nick Harbor yesterday, elaborating a little bit on his decision to focus solely on football this spring.
That track don't work like that. If you're not in there, no, if I wanted to come back to track, I'll be coming back right now. You can't just, do a whole football season. I'll say whole spring ball, and then just try to go run without no running before that. So, I think my track for this year is done. So, yeah.
Again, we've known about this for a little bit, and there was always, I guess, the possibility that he could do the back half of the spring portion of track if he really wanted to. But when you talk about the shape you have to be in, obviously, the weight you have to be to run the speed you want to run, it probably made more sense for him to primarily focus on football, which is, of course, a good thing because going into year number 3, which, hey, if it's good enough year, could be his last year here at South Carolina, having an entire year to focus solely on football will hopefully get him to that level of development and production that we've been waiting on him to get to.
Yeah, already some buzz, guys, coming out. One, about just what some of his teammates have said about him and the job he did kind of in the winter workouts. And then, of course, that's a time where the guys are out there throwing the ball around on their own, going through some stuff against air. There was a quote, I think you noted it. Was it Attaway that said
yeah.
Harbor, he always caught him in the indoor catching tennis balls, which is a great tool to develop your hand-eye coordination. And Jack, I know you read a story with some of the quotes from Nick as well. Apparently he credited, this is from last season, kind of finally just being like admitting to himself, hey, I need contacts when I'm on the field. I would say there's a lot of reasons to believe that the arrow is pointing up for Nick Harbor right now.
Yeah, I mean, look back at what he did. Primarily, like, you think to the Alabama game last year where he catches that big touchdown late in the game, and that kind of set the trajectory for him to have the season he ended up having. I'm looking back through his stats history, and he finished with 376 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, 26 catches, and all that. 325 of those yards came in the final 7 games that he played. So I guess technically the back half of the season for him in college football, and had a great end of the year, making some big catches and becoming a reliable target. So I think given that he's putting his full attention on football, he's got the contacts now for another season. He's been working on his hands, obviously, for a long time, as we know. I mean, with the tennis balls, the jug machine and all that. He's got the tools to definitely become what South Carolina needs in a top receiver this season.
Yeah, I think, guys, you could tell when we had the Gamecock Club interview with him, for one, that Alabama catch, like that was the day that I think did sort of boost his confidence, and it just grew from there. I think the job that Mike Furry has done with him, just sort of trying to instill that confidence in him, but also working through some of the technique things, has been huge for him. But really, if you're going to develop, the regular season is not really a time for development. Even the preseason is not a time for development for the most part, maybe the first couple of weeks, but very quickly you're turning your attention to opponents. You're turning your attention. If you're the staff, you're trying to figure out, all right, are these my 3 starters? And remember last year how much just sort of discussion there was about, hey, who are the top 3 wide receivers going to be? And there were like 6 to 9 guys that could have been in that top 3. So you kind of add all that together on the fact that Harbor missed spring last year. That's not really an environment that is great for your personal development as a wide receiver. Spring ball It's spread out. You're not practicing every day. You practice a day, then you have a film room kind of in the meeting room day. You can go back. You can look at what you did yesterday. You can improve on it. You can look at details. That's one thing people have pointed out to me in the past about young quarterbacks, how important spring is, because they can go out, have a practice, and then mentally review everything that happened in preseason. I mean, you're talking about what used to be your two-a-days. They don't do that anymore, but still, you're talking about a practice pretty much every day during the week. There's not any time to just digest, see what you did wrong, and then learn from it. So I think you can't even put into words how big this could be for Nick, who is a guy we know works. Like, it's not like this guy doesn't work hard. So I'm excited for him, man. I'm excited for the team because I think we're going to start to see him hit that massive, massive potential. And I've already heard from practice yesterday a contact who was there who was raving about, man, Nick just looks a little bit different this year compared to last year.
Well, and I think you feel better about that room because I feel like there's a similar question, Wes, to last year of, okay, who are your starters? And there's a bunch of guys vying for those roles. But I think you feel better about it because you feel like you have more competitive depth there kind of at all levels. I don't know who the starters are going to be. I've got some guys that I feel like have the best shot. I think Nick's one of those for sure, based on the past and what we've heard of him. I think you put Jared Brown in there, right, et cetera, et cetera. But you've kind of got this element of everybody raising their game. Nick raising their game can elevate this room. The freshmen that are coming in, a 6-man class that was very talented, 5 of them already on campus. Donovan Murph, by the way, who a lot of people feel like was the most ready to play out of high school. He'll be in this summer. They have been pushing some of the older guys and vice versa. So Shane Beamer talks a lot about competition and it being one of their core values. That's the spot where I think spring, summer, preseason, it's going to be uber competitive for those spots. And that I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I think the guys you just mentioned, plus Mazio Bennett, probably, yep. You feel good. In my opinion, I think if the season started today, that would probably be your 3 starters.
Jared, Mazio, Nick.
Yeah,
yep,
I feel pretty confident in that. The question is, all right, does that change in, 5 months? To me, in a weird way, as much competition as there is on this team, I feel like we could fairly accurately predict who the first guys up were at most positions yesterday. And then it's just about, all right, who among the group behind them can push enough that, one, they just sort of put themselves in a position where the staff says, hey, we have to play that guy. They might not be a starter yet, but we have to play that guy. Or 2, who takes a spot from the guy in front of it. Is there a true freshman who just says, basically with his play, I'm too good not to start, and then maybe they pass one of those guys. But I think you have a nice little solid mix there of some older players and then the super talented freshmen behind them.
And going back to Nick, I think it's also important to remember, and again, we've talked about this plenty of times, wasn't a wide receiver in high school, came here, obviously going to do the dual sport thing. This is the first time he's probably spent an entire year focusing on football because, of course, he was a late commit and ended up finishing out his high school spring track season 2 years ago. Obviously did the track stuff last year, didn't come into football fully until, July, basically. And again, for his entire athletic career, he's probably never spent an entire year focusing solely on one sport. So, and the worry was coming off last season is, man, you really kind of hit your stride toward the end of the last season. Are you going to lose that by doing track stuff in the spring and have to catch back up later on in the summer? Well, that's not going to be the problem this time because you're going to have this starting point from the end of last season, being able to build on that and hopefully be even leaps and bounds farther when the season gets started against Virginia Tech in late August.
And sorry, go ahead, Jack.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I would say Andy recruited him to be a dual sport guy. So for what has happened to happen, it had to be his decision.
Yes.
That was something I saw a lot of fans say, I wish he'd just play football. And I said back then, well, he has to want to just play football because you recruited him from the beginning with the designs of, dude, you can do both. We know how important track is to you. One other little detail in this too. Last year, you were getting ready for the Olympics just in terms of the track schedule.
Yep.
And Nick is a guy, as we know, has very, very high expectations for himself. So knowing the Olympics were that year and that there was just the potential to even be in that conversation affected his decision-making, I would think. But then I think getting that taste of the success in football this past season, and then this is not an Olympic year in track. I think he got a taste and said, I want more. And also, I believe, again, Nick, with his high expectations, he sees himself as a guy who, if he has a big year, he could get drafted this time next year.
I think he totally could. I mean, it's very realistic that if he doubles his numbers potentially, he has like 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's a very solid season, and I think South Carolina would take that any day of the week. But again, I think the big thing that he said yesterday also was that track's done for this year, right? I think it's never off the table that he's gonna, he's done for good with it, right? Like, I think if football works out to where he does get drafted and stuff, that's a different story. But I mean, with his speed, his athleticism, I mean, the things that he was doing in track, that's something that I don't think he's gonna give up for good. But it's nice to know that he is focusing on football. Like you said, now he'll be going through his first real spring practice. And I think it's going to be huge for his development.
And we're going to have plenty more about spring practice as the morning rolls along. Jump back to some March Madness stuff. Coming up next as we wrap up hour number 1, game broadcasting live at Firehouse Sub, 633 Main Street, going until noon here on the game. Again, it is the Extra Point and Gamecock Central takeover of Firehouse Sub, 633 Main Street. Tyler, West, and Chris, we are going up until noon, talking plenty of March Madness as the game gets rolling here in a little over 2 hours' time. Good, Chris is going to jump in here with us as well. How good is y'all's sports geography? Good at this? Do you know? Do you know where schools are?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say it has the word geography in it, so not great.
All right,
Yeah.
But we'll try.
you guys want to play a game?
I love games.
Yeah.
If I give you a team that's in the NCAA field, can you tell me what school they're at or what the location of said
state.
school is?
Sometimes
you
I can do it.
State is worth 1 point. If you can tell me the city, that's worth 2 points.
Let's go.
All right,
do it.
so you'll have 4 each, and we'll have a tiebreaker if you guys end up tied.
Okay.
Chris, your first team is Lipscomb. Do you know where Lipscomb is?
Lipscomb's in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right, 2 points. All right, Jack, your first school is Bryant.
I was talking with Yuva the other day because he was just randomly asking me about Bryant and stuff, and I believe, are they in Connecticut?
No.
No.
I'll give you one more shot.
They're
I would not get this one.
Are they in Rhode Island?
They are in Rhode Island. Do you know what city in Rhode
Ah.
Island?
Absolutely not.
They are in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Maybe I was
Never heard of it.
All right, so you get 1 point for that. All right, Chris, your next school, Drake, who actually have making a pretty deep run in the tournament.
You know what? I may fall flat on my face with this guess. I know they are actually playing Missouri. Isn't Drake in Missouri?
No.
Okay. It is not.
I was going to say the same thing too. To be
I
honest,
think I like commingled those. in my mind.
You're in the right geographical area. It's Midwest. I'll give you one more shot.
Nebraska.
No, they're in Des Moines, Iowa.
Rough.
All
Okay.
right. Jack, SIUE.
Is that Illinois?
It's Illinois. The E stands for something.
Jeez, man. I don't know. I don't know.
Edwardsville. They are Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville.
I would like to file a protest. When you get to do an acronym, that's cheating because you can guess the I for Illinois. Now it could be Iowa or whatever.
Indiana.
Indiana.
There's a lot of I states.
There's like IUPUI.
Yeah.
Okay. I still protest though.
That's
Yeah.
Indiana University,
you
Purdue
got
University,
Lipscomb.
Fort
I
Wayne.
did get Lipscomb.
Let's
Yeah.
go. I would have
That's
said
true.
Tennessee
All
at
right.
least.
Chris, your next one, Robert Morris.
Golly, man. Virginia.
Close. One more try.
If I'm close, then close geographically or in name?
Close geographically.
I don't think it's West Virginia. Tennessee.
Pennsylvania. Moon Township, Pennsylvania. All right.
I feel like I knew that too.
This team was in action last night. This one might be easy, Jack. American.
I didn't watch the game. Well, they're somewhere in America, right? I mean,
That doesn't count.
It is not an international
You
school.
know-
That's correct.
We're gonna go just wild guess here. Pennsylvania.
Close.
Really?
Close. Do you want to steal?
No, well, Jack gets another try.
You get another try. One more try.
Massachusetts.
No, they're in DC. American.
Yes, that's what I was going to guess.
How
All
did
right,
I not guess that?
All right, you guys are tied at 2 apiece right now. Lightning round, one more for each of you. Chris, this team also played last night. Mount St. Mary's.
Oh, geez. Mount St. Mary's.
You only get one guess this
California.
time. No, Maryland. Emmitsburg, Maryland. And Jack, last one for you, McNeese.
Louisiana.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
All right,
Jack
Chris,
got it.
Your chance to tie. Grand Canyon,
Arizona.
Arizona. Do you know what city in Arizona?
Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Boo.
Chris wins.
I feel like I got an extra try though, didn't I?
He did.
Okay.
So that was
It's a tie.
It was a tiebreaker. All right, that's it for hour number one. Coming up next, hour number two, Gamecock Club Hour presented by Crane School and Heating. Brian Thomas Jr. sitting down with Chris here on the game. Tyler Ed here once again telling you about our friends over at Twin Peaks. As I mentioned, the whole crew's going to be out there. Terry, Jay, Elijah hanging out at Twin Peaks all day long for the opening day of the NCAA or the college basketball tournament. And you still got some time, a couple hours left to fill out those brackets. Go to TwinPeaksBracketChallenge.com, fill out your bracket for your chance to win a lot of options and prizes, including a $50 gift card for the top bracket at each and every lodge. And again, go out there and hang out with the guys today because they're going to have TVs everywhere tuned in to all the great basketball action. Of course, tons of amazing food and those 29-degree draft beers. Never a bad time to hang out at Twin Peaks, but especially with all this great basketball action going on. Park yourself down there for the tournament with our friends at Twin Peaks down in the Vista.
And welcome in. It's the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating here on the game. Thanks for joining us and joined by a special guest. Love doing this, continuing talking to Gamecock football players. We got Brian Thomas Jr. here on the program today. First time we've had a chance to have Brian. Been waiting on this one for a long time. So appreciate you taking time to join, man. How's everything going?
Everything's going pretty great. You know, like I said, just getting ready for spring ball coming up, getting my body right, treatment and all that, eating the right things.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, we are recording this. We're playing this obviously on Thursday, but talking to BT earlier in the week, pre-recorded this because he is going to be getting into spring ball and everything. So, keep an eye out on, of course, GamecockCentral.com. Keep an eye out, GamecocksOnline.com. They're going to have a lot of stuff. I'm sure you'll be talking to the media some, Brian, throughout the spring and updating everybody. But going to do kind of a pre-spring, early spring look with you. We'll get into all that, but man, I want to start here. First of all, where'd you go for spring break? Did you get to do anything fun?
Actually, yeah, I went to spring break for I went up to New York for my grandma's birthday.
Okay.
And then, after that, me and my family had traveled back down to Florida where I'm from. I just had went down there to go train and get my body right and stuff. So
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I figured you would be getting some work in. Not all fun during spring break, but man, I remember I was actually telling somebody the story the other day that I remember watching you at South Carolina's camp, and so that would have been probably in, I don't know, I guess it would have had to been the summer of like 2020, I guess, right? Because you're in the 2022 class.
Yeah, I think that might have been 21 something.
Or 21, the summer of 21. That's right.
Yeah.
So, I think like there's still some, COVID stuff going on. The camps were a little, different back then. But I remember meeting your parents there, getting a chance to talk to your dad, who I, grew up watching in the league and everything. But what do you remember about, going to that camp and just really the whole recruiting process?
I remember seeing the guys like Jordan Birch, Jordan Strawn, people like them, Tyree Johnson, just seeing them being like, dang, like if I just do all the right things, that could be me. And then, hey, God answered my prayers, and now I'm here.
At that time, did you have an offer when you actually camped at Carolina?
No, sir.
Not yet. Okay, so you earned it.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Peterson was the coach here.
Yes, sir.
At the time,
I actually didn't even get coached by him. Like
that's right.
I think when I had committed, I think he had left. I think either a few months or a few weeks after that, or something like that.
Okay, that's
and
right.
Then that's when Coach Beamer had I think contacted me. I was like, he's looking for a new position coach for that position. And then I just put my thoughts into it, and then he picked the right guy as Coach Lucas. Coach Lucas is a great guy, and yeah. But like I said, I never got coached by what's his name?
Mike Peterson.
Mike
Yeah,
Peterson.
Mike Pete. Yeah, that's right. So to go back to your dad for a second, first of all, I mean, probably the same thing now, but he looked like he still could play when I met him. But what all did you learn? Man, that's such a blessing. I feel like not a lot of guys who are coming up and learning the game and developing and trying to get to college and the NFL, like most of them do not have a dad that played in the NFL. So, I mean, what did you learn from him from that standpoint?
I'd probably say I learned pretty much mostly the same stuff. I just learned it earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like most people don't really know about reading the tackle stance in high school. You know what I'm saying? People don't really know about how to read what's a 3 tech, what's a 1 tech, what's the, you know what I'm saying? I know like people don't know that in high school, but in high school I knew all that. So I felt like having my dad who played football at a professional level, him teaching me all that stuff earlier really gave me a jump starter and just knowing the game better than everybody else.
Yeah, and for those that, for some reason maybe don't remember, Brian Thomas was, first round NFL draft pick, played from 2002 to 2012 with the Jets, had 33 and a half sacks during his career, was a really, really good player. So, I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, and I know he played at UAB, so he went through the recruiting process too. But when it came time to get recruited, what did you, if anything, advice did he give you? Like, how did you lean on him for that?
He just told me, I mean, my dad was never the type to really choose this one, choose this one. You know what I'm saying? Like he would never try to live through me, which I love the most. Cause some parents like to live through their kids, but he always wanted me to just choose the best one that I felt was perfect for me. He always wanted me to be happy at the end of the day. And I mean, obviously, yeah, he helped me. He, helped me pick what defense would fit me best, what coaches I guess had the most experience, stuff
you talk to some guys and they're like, man, I had to, eat peanut butter out of a jar. Like, was it hard or did it just come natural?
It actually kind of came natural. I feel like I had like another, for some reason, I feel like I had another, it came natural, but it was also the strength program. Like,
Yeah.
Cause like it was for some reason, like I had gained like 15 pounds in like 4 months during my sophomore year. Yeah, I had gained like 15 pounds and but like I was eating right. I just like my main priority was trying to make sure it wasn't sloppy weight. I wanted to put on lean muscle so I could still be fast, still keep my speed and all that. But I probably say it was some of it was probably natural and some of it was probably like it just came on me out of nowhere. Like, but yeah.
So you mentioned the strength program and good opening for me to ask about Luke Day and what he and his staff done. I know y'all had a grit night as usual recently. What are your thoughts on the strength program and just how that's prepared you and helped you develop here at Columbia?
I'd say it's helped me develop a lot. I wasn't strong at all. When I first got in here, I couldn't stop to run at all. I was just pass rush. But now, I can lock out 300-pound grown men, shed blocks and make tackles. I feel strong now. Like my squats around like 500 plus. My bench is closing like I think 380. So I'm like right there at 400. So like they and them boys, like they really get us strong. They do that. They do it real. Like they like that.
Well, and you mentioned Coach Sterling Lucas earlier, of course, who Beamer hired, and want to give you a chance to talk about him a little bit more and then kind of dive into your progression of your career, look back a little on last season and what you're looking forward to in 2025 going into year 4. So we're going to take a quick time out. Back on the other side, more with Brian Thomas Jr. from Gamecock Football. All right, welcome back in. It's the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating here on the game, hanging out with Brian Thomas Jr. from Gamecock football for a little while longer. And BT, I teased there that we're going to talk about Coach Sterling Lucas a little bit. Funny story about that, I'll tell you, because it makes me feel old. Sterling Lucas was from Orangeburg here in South Carolina. He was a really good linebacker, made the Shrine Bowl, and I covered his recruitment when he was a senior. And he was actually, when Shane Beamer got hired by Steve Spurrier, he was a guy that Shane Beamer tried to recruit to Columbia. He ended up going to NC State. But Beamer got him later as a coach, so I guess that counts. But, man, I mean, to me, Coach Lucas has been, one of the best recruiters on staff and has done a great job developing guys. But what's your perspective on him? Like, why is he, you think, such a good coach?
The thing is, like, with Coach Coach Luke, like, I don't even know how to explain it. He's just a perfect guy. Like, I don't know. He's funny. Like, he could be your friend. He could be, like, a mentor. He could be a coach. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not like, work. Like, he know what time it is. Like, when it's time to have fun, he'll have fun with us. When it's time to work, he know how to, like, flip that switch and, you know what I'm saying, get us to work and all that. But on the developmental side, he'll let you do how you, like, you know what I'm saying, like your natural, like, just how you play ball. He'll analyze you, see how you play ball, and then he'll point out your weaknesses. And then your weaknesses, he'll try to make those stronger. You know what I'm saying? He won't just throw you on the field and be like, hit this, do that, do this. You know what I'm saying? He loves to develop people. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes him a good coach. And that's what he did with me. You know, he obviously knew I was a great, I wouldn't say great, but I was a good pass rusher, you know. But he knew I was slacking in the run, so he taught me little stuff, how to like stay lower, like hand placement, obviously just get my weight up and stuff like that. But all around, Coach Luke is a great guy.
So I got to ask you, I see a lot of times when y'all go to dinner or have like a team event.
Yeah.
How do you get a membership to the Edge Room? Like, so y'all are all members. Like, what does that mean? Where'd that come from?
Members, I really don't know where it came from, to be honest. We just started saying it and it became like a slogan to us. Like,
okay.
I guess if you just one of the ones, you just go out in the field and you do your thing, you start making plays, you remember,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, y'all had some members last year for sure. And hoping for the same this year. But man, tell me a little bit about watching Kyle Kennard, right? He won the Nagurski Award. He came in as a guy who had made plays, right? Like I always say, I remember Kyle at Georgia Tech, he had 4 sacks in a game. If you have 4 sacks in a college football game, I don't care what level, you can play. But it seemed like, man, he just really took it to the next step. Like, how was it just watching his progression and development and production?
Watching, when he first came in, he always had that worker's mentality. He came in there. He had, obviously when you were like a new guy, even though he was an old head, like he didn't want to just, I guess, jump on top of us trying to be a leader. He took his time with us. He showed us instead of telling us. He was in the weight room and hard, getting extra work after workouts and practice and stuff like that. And that just brought us up. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, people out there following him. So we all just I guess just watch him work hard, and then it transferred to the field. And then as you guys see what happened on the field, that's what happened when you work hard. You get 10 plus sacks and you win a Nagurski and all these other awards. But all around, Kyle's a great dude too. I learned a lot from him.
Have you ever seen a guy like Dylan Stewart, who's as young as he is, that can come do the things that he did as soon as?
Man, Dylan Stewart's get off is crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. It's something I've never seen before. It's insane. His first step is out of this world. But for him to be 18, 19 years old doing that, it's crazy. But he has a bright future too.
So last season was obviously a pretty special one, man. Like y'all flipped the switch after that close loss against Alabama and just, became kind of a wrecking crew down the stretch, won 7 straight games. When you think about that winning streak and, so many plays defense made, like what really stands out to you, if anything?
I mean, for us to even get to that point, it starts in practice, like we work hard. We always on the same page. We never miss a beat with each other. We all play fast. We all play physical. We stay in our notes. Like we don't like when it gets on the field. Like we all locked in. We all brothers, and we just. You know what I'm saying? It starts at a point. Like you can't just go out there and win 6 games in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you just I don't even know how to explain it. You just go out there, you just do what we did.
Some of these guys that we've talked about, I mean, Kyle Kennard we talked about, but a lot of talent returns on this defense. You, Dylan, a bunch of other guys. But there's also a lot of guys who were really productive and were leaders that leave this defense. And I know Coach Beamer's talked about, the theme of trying to, take it farther this year, right? And take the next step. But who are some guys that I know y'all aren't into spring ball yet, getting there, but this offseason, anybody who's really impressed you or a few guys that have really impressed you with how they've been working, how they've been looking?
Well, usually, I stay because I'm obviously I'm the older dude in my room now, so I try to focus on the young guys in my room. One guy who's standing out to me right now is Anthony Anderson.
Yeah,
yeah, I like. He reminds me of me too, because he was kind of on the smaller side.
Yeah,
so that's really like what stood out to me at first. So I was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Let me see like what he does because he was the same size as me. So. But yeah, Anthony Anderson. I like he like for some reason he has like I don't know what's wrong with him. He always has like a high battery. No matter what, he's running full speed. It's like it's crazy. But yeah, but him like he stands out to me.
That's a good trait though, and I do. He played that way at Sumter in high school. A little bit undersized guy, but can put on the weight and good pass rush traits too. So let's talk about you, man. We've spent a lot of time talking about teammates. You covered some of your progression, like putting on weight from going from 195 out of high school to now you're about 250 pounds, getting better as setting the edge, playing the run. For you, what is your next step in year 4 here in Columbia?
My next step, I say my next step is just getting 10 plus sacks, 10 plus TFLs, just getting my name out there, making it known. Like obviously people like I guess know my name, but you know what I'm saying? It's not national. I want to be like known as like the next big thing, because I put in work, I put in work. So just my next big step is just going out there getting 10 plus sacks, getting 10 plus TFLs, and putting my name out there. And next thing you know, I'll be projected top 10 pick in the NFL draft. That's my next goal.
Yeah, well, I got some guys that got a chance to break the record for number of guys drafted from the Gamecock football team this year. So a lot of talent on that defense is going pro, and some coming back too. What's your overall take on this year's team, what you've seen this offseason? Like, is there a couple things that you can point to that, I know I asked you about some individual players, but just as a team, anything stand out as you guys get ready to go into spring ball here this week?
Nothing really stands out for real. I mean, we got all the players, we got all the pieces that we need for this team to be great. Yeah, that's pretty much we got all the pieces. We just got to see what we can do this year.
What have you thought of, Coach Beamer's leadership in times where, I mean, you've been here a while, man. You've seen kind of some of the good, the really good. You've seen some of the lows, and you guys have really stayed pretty connected. And even when you've been written off a little bit, y'all have stayed connected and done some really good things. What is it about his leadership style that allows him to help keep you guys in the right direction?
I mean, he always tells us, they love, like when you're doing good, they love you. When you're doing bad, they hate you. So he always tells us, like, always have the same mentality. You know what I'm saying? So even always keep your head up when they love you, and always keep your head up when they hate you. So whenever, like, I guess they're like the fans or whoever, their emotions change, like your mentality stays the same. He always that's really about it. That's why we just always just keep working, even when we're doing bad and even when we're doing good.
All right, BT. Well, hey, man, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you taking some time to join me here on the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Wishing you all the best this spring and this season, man. Best of luck to you.
Appreciate you. You too.
And welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Tyler, Wes, Chris, Jack, we're hanging out at Firehouse Subs, 633 Main Street, right here in the heart of campus, enjoying some delicious Firehouse Subs. I'm going to be taking on the Hot One sandwich coming up here in a little bit. Going to do it live on the air.
Can't wait.
Hopefully I'll be able
Can't
to.
wait.
Hopefully I'll be able to speak afterwards. Like I said, I woke up a little bit nervous this morning. It's getting real. It's feeling real. So we'll see what happens. But we'll get into the conversation that Chris had with Brian Thomas Jr. here in just a second that you heard in those last couple minutes. But first, it's our next opportunity to give you a chance to join the 1075 Game Bracket Challenge. Again, things tipping off in a little under 2 hours here, and we're going to give you another chance to join in on the Bracket Challenge. Callers number 6 and 8 right now at 803-404-6100 will earn teams. Caller number 6, you will be given BYU. Caller number 8, you will be given VCU. So again, Captain Dave standing by in the studio to take your call at 803-404-6100. Also, want to let you know that you're going to have your chance to win tickets to go see the women play tomorrow and Sunday. That chance coming up later on today out there at Twin Peaks. That's all sponsored by our friends over at Anasta Pulo Law Firm. Don't scream, call Akeem to style 800-all-7s. Again, that's coming up a little bit later on today. Your chance to see the women in action as their tournament gets rolling, coming up tomorrow, taking on Tennessee Tech. Chris, again, you sit down with Brian Thomas Jr. a little bit earlier on this week, and we kind of talk about veterans. He's a guy that, too, feels like he's been around this program for a very, very long time, and it's even looked at as one of the senior, more senior guys on this roster, particularly on the defense going into this season.
I was reminiscing with Wes when we saw BT in camp. So he was in the 2022 class. And so that meant it was, I think, the summer of 2021. Didn't have a Gamecock offer at the time. Came to camp. And I knew, kind of watching him, there are a few things that stood out. Number one, you're like, this kid looks like a good pass rusher. Number two, you look at Brian Thomas Jr., who's his dad, Brian Thomas, who was there at the camp, played for 10 or 11 years for the Jets, Jack, and was really, really good. And so you knew he had some bloodlines. But he was small. I mean, he really was. And I didn't realize how small until he told me during that interview. He was like 195 pounds. So now you look
not
at him,
ideal for a linebacker.
Not ideal for an edge. So
Yeah,
he was a defensive end coming out of high school, right? And so, you knew you'd have to put on some weight. Carolina offered him. They liked what they saw. Went through kind of the transition of a new coach coming in, and Sterling Lucas when he was hired. And he loves Sterling Lucas, by the way. And now, you fast forward a few years later, he's put on about 50, 55 pounds and has been an important part of the defense. I think he kind of gets lost a little bit. This guy's played a lot of snaps and started games for South Carolina, too.
Yeah, he's definitely lost in the shuffle of all these different guys that South Carolina has. And look, I thought 2 years ago he did a lot of good things. Like I remember being out at that Texas A&M game, and he made some really big plays out on the road there. And I felt like he had a pretty good end to, the 2023 season in an otherwise down year for the Gamecocks. And then you bring in Kyle Kennard, and you have Dylan Stewart, obviously, and they get all the headlines. And Brian is kind of, lost in the mix, like we said before. So I think this year is definitely a big season for him. As you mentioned, put on a lot of weight. He looks the part of a good defensive end for South Carolina off the edge. And I think he could really be a nice piece to have back after losing Kennard, obviously.
Well, and he's in that group of guys at that edge spot that we're going to have the question about this entire offseason until we see it, happen this fall, is who's going to be able to step up opposite of Dylan Stewart. We know what Dylan Stewart can do and the attention he's going to command. That's going to free up some spots on the other side. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Desu, JT Gear, Jalen Brown coming in from Missouri? Like, who's going to be that guy? Maybe not to exactly replicate exactly what Kennard did. It'd be great if they were able to, but just give you decent production on the other side of the line of scrimmage, the other side of the defensive line.
If you look at the snaps last year, you look at the number of pressures on the quarterback last year, BT kind of was their third pass rusher. And as the year went on and as the reps sort of got solidified and exactly who was building that trust with the staff, you could tell BT was kind of next guy up. And there's a reason he started in the bowl game. So I always use the bowl games, honestly, as if you were going to project a depth chart I know Beamer says it doesn't exist yet, but if you were going to project first guy out there at practice opposite of Dylan, I mean, it would be BT. Like I look at it like I do the wide receivers, honestly, where, I said those are the three guys, and then it's going to be up to the young players to pass them. I think it's Dylan Stewart, and nobody's passing Dylan Stewart, obviously. It's Dylan Stewart and it's BT, and then it's going to be up to maybe not even young guys. Can a JT Gear step up and sort of take on the role we thought he was going to have when he came in as a transfer? Obviously, he's dealt with injuries for a huge portion of his time. So how much does that affect his play? Tyler mentioned Des U. I think it's a big spring for Des U to kind of take a jump. What are expectations for Jaylen Brown? Is it that he is a instant rotational guy, or is it more that he's going to need some developmental time to be in that position? I think those are all maybe storylines to track in the next few months. But right now, if they were playing today, I would feel pretty confident that it would be Dylan Stewart and BT who were rolling out there with the ones.
And I think I forget that, game one last year, the ODU game, it was, Kyle Kennard and JT Gear were the starters for that game. So JT had a really, really good offseason. I remember when the depth chart came out, and, depth charts don't always mean everything, but we saw JT Gear top, and you're going, oh, wow.
There were a lot of oars on there.
There were a lot of oars. There were a lot of oars. But he is game one starter, and, okay, and you kind of knew it was a matter of time before Dylan Stewart proved to be too good to keep off the field as a starter. And, after game one, y'all remember the highlight reel that he put together even for the ODU game. It was silly. His first few weeks were as good as you could possibly get, especially for a freshman. But Gear, like you said, Wes, he's kind of suffered through some injuries. Those have hampered him at times. Can he make a push? And I think, you look at the competition, obviously Dylan Stewart is going to have a spot locked down, but they need other guys. And that doesn't mean they need an Nagurski winner. That'd be great, if they could find one, but they've got some other options there that they really need to continue developing.
And I think this year is significant because obviously what they did last year at edge and getting after quarterbacks really speaks for itself. But this is a program that over the past decade has a pretty poor reputation when it comes to getting after quarterbacks. They've not been in the top half outside of last year in the SEC in sacks in over a decade. And again, when you do it for 1 year, that's great. But can you follow it up the year after that and garner that reputation as a team, as a program that routinely can get pressure on quarterbacks? And this year is going to go a long way in determining not only that for the program, but obviously starting Lucas's ability to develop guys to get to that level like he did Kennard last year and obviously Stewart coming in as freshman.
Well, and some guy named Dylan Stewart is back, so that's going to be helpful in that. How much of those other guys getting loose last year was helped by the fact that Dylan is just the freak of all freaks when it comes to being a pass rusher. The other side is, too, though, you had some really good pass rushing defensive tackles on the interior last year. So, I think more and more we separate those things out, like interior guys and edge guys, and you even have two separate coaches a lot of places, including at South Carolina with Travian Robertson, obviously working with the interior guys. But it all ties together ultimately when you're talking about a opponent looking at what you have and then figuring out what does my pass protection look like for this week. So a lot of my resources, if I'm an opponent, are going to be to stopping Dylan Stewart.
Yeah, no, definitely. We saw it last year when teams would have to kind of figure out, okay, do we want to double Kyle Kennard or do we want to double Dylan Stewart? And it's kind of like pick your poison because the other one's going to go out there and do their thing. Now this year, obviously everyone knows Dylan is going to be the guy off one of the edges. You're going to be targeting him, and that kind of leaves not an opening necessarily. Someone will be blocking, him over there or someone else on the other side, but it's going to be a nice, chance for one of these other guys.
You have one-on-one situations for everybody else, potentially.
I feel like Brian is probably your guy going into, if the season started today, Brian Thomas Jr. is probably your guy for sure. And then I think he's someone that can hold that spot the entire year, though I do think you mentioned some guys like Jaylen Brown rotating in and stuff. I think that we're going to see a lot of different guys kind of come and go as the season progresses.
I think trust is huge. You can
Mhm.
tell which guys earn trust in their coaches and or from their coaches. BT clearly has built the trust
Totally.
with the staff. So all else being equal, they're going to lean on that. I think the big question just becomes, hey, can one of these other guys start to show you some of that tremendous upside to where even if they're not starting, you feel comfortable about them going out there and making some plays for you. And then, I mean, going back to the interior, to me, that's the biggest question on this entire team is can you easily replace a TJ Sanders, a Boogie Huntley, a Taka Hemingway, three guys who just, for the last 2 years, like there have been some other guys in the mix too, but for the last 2 years, those three guys were basically co-starters on the interior and played very well off of each other. And I mean, that's a question, I think, boys. And even if we hear, hey, these two guys have locked down starting spots, what does that mean? We won't know until we see them going against opponents, not going against their own teammates.
Yeah, one of many things we got to learn over the course of spring practice and see what's going to happen when we take the field this upcoming fall. I want to remind you once again that next Friday, March 28th, we're going to be out at Charwood Golf Club once again for the 107.5 Game Spring Golf Classic this year, benefiting the Lexington County Gamecock Club. Join us out there with your foursome by giving Charwood a call at 803-755-2000. Going to be bringing back the Par 5 golf ball cannon. Also be giving away a pair of baseball and football season tickets to 2 lucky winners. I'm going to have a special guest and Basketball Hall of Famer and former Gamecock great, Alex English. So again, don't miss out on your chance to be a part of the 107.5 Game Spring Golf Classic by giving Charwood a call at 803-755-2000. Coming up next, to wrap up hour number 2, I believe it's time. We're going to be taking on the spicy hook and ladder. We'll see how this goes. That's coming up next. Gamecock Club Hour presented by Crane School and Heating out at Firehouse Subs on Main Street here on The Game. Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Hanging out at Firehouse, 633 Main Street, out here in the heart of campus. And I am now staring at the spicy dill hook and ladder pickle. The nervousness is starting to set in a little bit. The reality is here. There's kind of a rule in radio to not eat things on air, but I built this up so much this week. We all have. I have to finally pay it off. Wes is recording me now because he wants to get my reaction. It does not smell super spicy. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you think it's just a regular sandwich. But here we go, watching us on the live stream. I'm about to take a bite. You guys can commentate this if you want.
Yeah, we'll commentate.
So,
we also have, so when you get the spicy dill hook and ladder, it comes with the Last Dab Reaper sauce soaked, or I think you should probably say marinated.
Yeah.
But it is soaked
Soaked.
in the Last Dab
The pickle is soaked
Reaper
in
hot sauce.
the
The
Reaper
pickle
hot
is.
sauce.
The pickle is. So it's marinated.
And then there's more hot sauce on the sandwich, right?
The sandwich has hot sauce, and the sandwich has the marinated pickle on it as well.
All right, Tyler has taken a bite.
I'm feeling the heat.
He's
Good,
thinking.
good, solid bite.
He's thinking through it.
I got everything in there. I feel the heat. It's not overpowering yet. It's definitely like filling up the mouth, filling up the throat.
Yes. It
There's a lot in
builds.
there. It builds. Okay.
The more you eat,
All right.
it continues.
Well, I'm not going to eat the entire sandwich sitting here with a microphone and so on. And so
That's a good idea.
took a big bite just to get the experience. But
I do.
doing okay so far.
I feel like you need to have a small bite of just the pickle
Okay.
at some point, if you
All right.
if you dare.
Now, is this pickles in front of us here?
Yes, that's
All
the
right.
marinated pickle.
I'll take. Well, try not to drip this everywhere. I'll
Yeah,
take
because
a
then you have
bite.
hot sauce everywhere.
I'll take a bite of the pickle as well.
Don't touch your eyes.
I will not
after.
touch my eyes.
Yeah, don't rub your eyes or anything.
Please be careful. Oh boy. Okay.
Ooh.
He went for it.
I don't want people to hear me chewing.
I feel like this has been somewhat just what's the word? Like it hasn't lived up to what I was
I mean, look, I
Well,
took
expecting in
that's
terms
a-
of Tyler's
that is a big
heat reaction.
You can see it on the video. That's a big bite. I got it in there. I mean, it's spicy, but it's not like killing me.
Okay.
Tyler with the grown man reaction.
I know.
Let me. Good
Thank
job,
you.
Tyler.
Shrugging it off.
I'm impressed.
No biggie.
After
I'm impressed.
after a week's worth of build, here we are.
In all seriousness, though, tell us
It's good.
how it is.
I mean, look, the hook and ladder in general is a really good
Oh,
sandwich.
absolutely.
I've said this before. I don't like anything that's gonna like take the flavor away from what I'm eating because it's so hot. I think it's good balance. Again, very spicy. It's definitely a 10 on the scale there, but again, it doesn't take away from the sandwich itself, which is good.
This is Tyler's flu game.
I know, right?
This is big time.
I'm gonna go with the zesty garlic hook and ladder during the break.
I've actually
which is
not had that.
a heat level of 2.
Lee said it's very good. She tried it.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I feel good.
If you now, I do think, Tyler, I must say, like, so when I came in to this
Uh-huh.
very location, I had the spicy dill hook and ladder. I did eat the entire sandwich and a whole pickle,
Okay.
like the side pickle.
Okay.
So,
All right.
you know, now maybe you've just, and this is hard for me to admit, maybe you've just surpassed me in terms of heat tolerance.
Maybe I'm just
It's-
that.
it might
Maybe,
be.
maybe
It
I'm,
might be.
I'm just that manly. I got hair on my chest.
It's
But
good.
Tyler's that
Yeah.
guy.
He is that guy.
I feel fine.
Okay.
Anybody else want to try it?
You know, if you guys are looking for a reaction, I'm sure I can.
Oh, here.
You
Yes.
know,
Go for it.
you know, this is
Now it's like it's that thing where like you get a lot more saliva in the back of your throat because it like I guess it's trying to counteract the heat.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Give
Go
your
for it.
Oh yes. We don't want my
Yeah, pull the
nasty
microphone
chewing
up.
on there.
Pull the microphone up.
there you go.
You guys can't hear me. Right?
This is for the
No.
people.
the people love it.
If you come out, also, of course, no purchase necessary, but we would love for you to come out and see us and get some Tennessee baseball tickets for
Yep.
next
We
weekend
gave away a pair a little bit
while
earlier
you
on.
try the Last Stab pickle.
Yep.
That'd be entertaining.
What you think?
Dang man. Oh no.
He said, "Oh
And
no."
I left the water all the way over there.
Well, here's the thing. Water doesn't actually help.
Oh God. I shouldn't have. You know, honestly,
All right, I'm even more impressed with Tyler now.
here's the thing though. It's like it's not like the worst thing ever. It's bearable. Thank you so
there's
much.
there's his drink.
I really appreciate it.
Lee with the save.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I mean, it tastes good.
Yeah, like I thought, you know, it could be worse. But I'm sure I say that now and like 5 minutes from now, it's gonna be on the toilet.
I mean,
you know.
I took
I'll be running to like
I-
the grocery store next
I-
door.
I took a bite about 4.5 minutes ago. I still feel it. It's still there.
Oh yeah.
But it's not killing
I mean,
me.
have you had anything to drink yet?
No, I haven't.
I'm not gonna drink it either. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Wow.
I will have it
Wow.
off air.
All right, well, there it is. The bite of the spicy dill hook and ladder. I recommend it. Come by and get one yourself.
God, I'm
Get
feeling it.
got
now.
another hour hanging out. We might dive into some March Madness stuff coming up. It is the Gamecock Club Hour, Extra Point, and Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Firehouse subs on me.
Let me take a minute to tell you about another one of our great partners here on the game. It's Michael, Nathan, the entire team over at Integrated Media. If you've ever been over to Pro Swing in Forest Acres or in Chapin and you've checked out the amazing audio-visual setup that they have there, yeah, that's the guys over at Integrated Media. They got the 90-plus inch TVs out there. So whatever you can dream up at your home or your business, they can help you do it, whether it's mounting a new television, sourcing the very best equipment in 2025, improving your internet Wi-Fi signal throughout your home. Again, anything you can dream of from an audiovisual standpoint, they can do it for you. They've been to my home. They've been to Wes's home. They can come out to yours too. And the thing I love about Integrated Media is their team is super helpful. They're local. You don't have to waste time online or in the big box stores because they can help you pick out the best equipment and then come install it for you. IntegratedMediaInc.com or give Michael, Nathan, and their team a call. 803-948-8327.
And welcome back in hour number 3. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour of Firehouse Subs, presented by Firehouse Subs. 633 Main Street right here in the heart of campus. Store's getting busy. Had a lot of people have come in already, have given away some T-shirts, given away some tickets. Come by and see us. Again, one more hour to go. Leading you up until Terry and the crew, Jay and Elijah, are going to be hanging out at Twin Peaks all afternoon for the start of the March Madness tournament. Getting go rolling here in a little over an hour. Jack, how we doing with our spice here?
I can confidently report, sources have told me that, it's not that hot anymore. Like I'm good now.
Yeah.
Thank you to Larry for providing the cookie with the sugar. I love sugar, but like that helped for sure. Definitely not bad anymore. It took a few minutes.
Yeah.
I could still kind of feel it.
It lingers. I still feel it.
Yeah.
But
it's not as bad as like the initial
don't touch your eyes.
Yeah, don't.
That's the thing.
That's rule number 1. That's a rookie mistake right there.
Yeah, but now
how are you feeling now?
I feel fine. I feel good.
Man, what is it with you? Like,
I don't know. I was actually pretty nervous. Like I woke up this morning like, oh man, this thing's gonna set my mouth on fire. I'm not gonna be able to talk and all this kind of stuff. But so far I'm doing pretty well.
Is it just like being from like Georgia? Is it just?
Well, here's the thing: is like I like my level of like spice preference is like buffalo sauce. Like I love a good buffalo hot wing,
dude, totally
doused in sauce. Like I love that because again, it's got good flavor to it, sweetness, heat, all that kind of stuff. I don't go out there and get the hottest pepper sauce from the gas station or whatever just for the sake of it being hot. So this is probably the hottest thing I've ever tried, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah, and this feels comparable to like the only other thing I can think of that would be super hot is like the Blazing Challenge at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah,
I have heard that is brutal. I had a buddy back in high school that did it, and I think there was like a gas station next door, so ran over to the gas station, got like a quart of milk, and just spilled everywhere. So I mean, look, it's it could be worse. I think we're handling it pretty well.
I think we're doing just fine.
Yeah, we haven't had any freakouts or anything, so we're good.
Well, been a fun morning so far. Again, we talked plenty of spring football. Of course, today is the official start. The first four is fun, but the tournament gets started properly today. Today is where you're going to have like 6 games going on at once on your laptop or on your TVs or whatever it may be. And the cool thing, and I love the fact that they stagger the start times, because as soon as one game's coming to a close, boom, you can jump in with 10 minutes to go in another game and say, hey, this upset's going to be happening here. This game's getting tight here. And you just got wall-to-wall chaos, madness, which is why it's called March Madness. And, man, I don't know. I feel like with the tone that was set by Alabama State's Hail Mary the other night, Xavier Mountain, their big comeback last night against Texas, I just feel like we're in for a chaotic tournament.
That was such a – can we just talk about that play real quick? Because the logistics of getting that play off are
hard,
very hard. Number one, you need a guy, on the baseline that can throw the ball basically the length of the court.
Which, by the way, if you've never tried to chuck a basketball that far, it's not easy.
It's not easy. You need you
got to have a big hand to palm that thing.
And you can say, oh, well, you could be a quarterback and do that, right? No, but you need the hand size to grip the ball and throw it that far. Number two, getting it there accurately is the other thing. You're in a heap of defenders. It's like throwing a Hail Mary, like you said. I hope it works. And in this case, it did. Then you get the layup, and it was just that's a crazy play, let alone for the game winner. I mean, that's a great way to kick off the tournament, especially being with the nightcap that night with UNC just blowing out San Diego State.
Again, things get rolling coming up at 12:10. I believe is when our first tip is. That is Louisville and Creighton, which you can watch on CBS. And by the way, if you haven't figured out where True TV is, go ahead and Google it, because I know unless you're watching Impractical Jokers, nobody's watching True TV on a daily basis. I don't think
it's like that third station that it's like the stepbrother or something that gets forgotten about with TNT and TBS being the main stations, and then that's it, right? Those 3 stations. Is USA network?
No, USA is NBC. So you got CBS, TBS, True TV, and
there's one other network.
More. TNT. That's right. So you got 4.
But I'm really looking forward to the one thing about. Do you have YouTube TV?
I don't. I have Spectrum.
So I was gonna say
I'm jealous of the quad box.
That's what I was gonna say. The quad box is going to be awesome today. So I mean, outside of everything else going on with work, definitely gonna try to squeeze in some March Madness these next few days.
Typically, and I haven't checked for this year, usually you can go online to NCAA.com and you can stream all the games
and
too.
I don't think for those listening, I don't think you need like a login.
I don't
for
believe
like
so.
your whatever cable or YouTube TV, whatever streaming you have. I think you could just watch on there. Man, now I will say, I think everyone went through this back in high school or middle school. Did you get to watch during class?
I never, not in like middle or high school. Like everybody else
Really?
has this experience. I don't. I've
Yeah.
never once had a teacher put on March Madness during. I would have loved that. That would have been great. But
Yeah.
I don't know, just the teachers that I had. But I don't recall anybody ever doing that. Now, when I was in college, sitting in lectures,
Yeah.
I'd pull up 4 games, get a little quad box going myself, and pretend to pay attention to whatever the professor was saying. And I wasn't the only one doing it. Everybody was, because it was the opening rounds of March Madness. But no, I never had a teacher who was like, hey guys, today
Man.
in math class we're going to watch the first round games.
I remember back in high school, teachers would always be so strict about that stuff. Like they'd be like, yeah, no March Madness, this and that. And I'd always go to, I think it was like my 4th block or whatever, and my teacher would just always put it on.
I will say this, growing up in Georgia, college basketball is not as big a deal there as it is here. That was actually something that surprised me a lot when I came to South Carolina and I started working here at the game, just how big college basketball is. And I've enjoyed college basketball for a very long time. And again, I worked at a radio station in Athens. We covered Georgia. They were never good. They've made their first tournament in a decade this year. So we really didn't have as much to talk about when it came to basketball then. The women's team, they would make the tournament every couple of years, but nothing crazy like it is here, obviously, with the dynasty that Don has built here in Columbia. So I guess just across the entire state, there wasn't as much fever for it, especially with the older generation that would have been teaching us and all that kind of stuff. So compared to here, where it seems like everybody's college basketball crazy, maybe it's just a regional type of thing.
It's totally a regional type of thing. And the one thing that we could say is true though is that everyone just loves watching this time of year with college basketball. And I feel like the tournaments this year with the conference tournaments were really, really fun to watch overall this season.
Yep. And obviously starting today, and we'll push Texas to the side because they got bounced in the first 4 last night. You have 13 teams in the SEC pursuing a national championship. The SEC has not won a national championship since Kentucky in 2012. They've not played for a national championship since 2014. You feel like, to back up what has been this historic season, what has been billed as the greatest conference basketball has ever seen in a single year, you got to, at least in my opinion, get one team to the championship game.
If you do not have, put it this way, if you don't have any SEC teams in the Final Four, that's a major disappointment. You should have like Florida and Auburn. I think they're on the same side. Should be competing in that Final Four. Like, no questions asked. Those have been 2 of the top teams in college basketball this season, especially Florida winning the SEC championship, going to Neville Arena and beating Auburn earlier this year. I mean, look, those teams are very good. You also have Tennessee. But what do we know about Tennessee? You can never trust Rick Barnes and March. So,
true.
Like, we'll see what happens. But in Alabama, too. I mean, look, the bracket is set up perfectly for the SEC to do some damage. And even these middle-of-the-pack teams like Texas A&M, they got a tough matchup with Yale today. What is Georgia going to do against Gonzaga? I feel like Gonzaga's, typically high up, but they're an 8 seed.
This isn't me being a homer. I actually have Georgia beating Gonzaga. There's a lot of people on that pick.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really seen much of Gonzaga this year with watching the SEC and stuff, but Georgia's a good team. I mean, they can these teams can go on a run, but
this is not the Gonzaga from a couple years ago.
This is not. Like,
it's not the same.
Yeah, like Mark Few is the coach there and all, but
a great coach.
It's not. You don't have your Drew Timmies of the world or
who played there
Jalen
for
Suggs.
15 years. It felt like.
Yeah. Now, is there a team? Squeezing in a question. Is there a team that you feel like is your Cinderella sleeper this year?
Let me tell you, I declared this on Monday when the brackets came out. I've got Drake going on a little bit of a run here. I got them making it all the way into the Sweet 16. Before losing to St. John's. We'll get St. John's here coming up in a moment. I think that's the farthest I have any double-digit seed. Okay, I got North Carolina going to the Elite Eight, actually. I forgot about that.
Yeah, a real Cinderella right there.
Well, and here's the thing. North Carolina in the regular season did not do enough to warrant being in the tournament. They got in, but they showed you the other night. And when they're on, they're on.
Yeah.
They nearly beat Duke in the SEC tournament last week, and they can play with the best. Now I have them eventually losing to Auburn in the Elite Eight,
Yeah.
but that's a team that. And look, what an 11 seed coming out of the first four has gone on deep runs almost every single year these past handful of years.
Yeah.
So I feel like North Carolina could be that team, but I have them and Drake getting pretty deep as far as 11 seeds.
It definitely feels like UNC. There's some benefit to playing in these first four games just because if you win that game and you win it the way UNC did, I think everyone's going to start picking them to be, winning that 6-11 matchup and going on a run, making it to the second weekend. And
Right.
I think UNC's got the team to do it. They've got the veterans, Hubert Davis. They've been to a Final Four national championship game, almost won. So I think UNC's the clear pick. One team I do have making a little bit of a run, I think UC San Diego. I think
I've heard a lot, and this is their first year being eligible for the tournament.
Yeah, so they've had a great year, and I think they've got. That's the thing, man. But there's always going to be one of these 15 seeds, or heck, we've seen the last few years the 16 seed has taken down the one. Like ever since
it's only happened twice.
Yeah, and then you have what was it, Fairleigh Dickinson
beating Purdue. Which, by the way, the coach
Tobin Anderson
just got fired by Iona the other week for only 2 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, and then who's that Iona right before him? Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino was at Iona.
Yeah, had to follow his shoes. I am excited to see the Johnnies though in the tournament. I think that's going to be really cool seeing Rick Pitino.
You mentioned this matchup between Michigan and UC San Diego. It's so interesting, and I see a lot of people that are making the pick for this. Michigan terrible at holding on to the ball. They're 328th in turnover percentage. UC San Diego is 7th in forcing turnovers.
If they get their way with forcing, I don't know. I mean, if you force anywhere over double digits in turnovers,
or excuse me, they're 2nd in forcing turnovers.
Yeah,
my bad.
You got to be able to take care of the ball. And for a team like Michigan that is prone to making mistakes, that doesn't really bode well for them. Then again, you got to go out there and score too. And we'll see if UC San Diego can go ahead and outscore a team like Michigan.
We will certainly see. We'll talk more about March Madness coming up next as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls along. A reminder once again, speaking of March Madness, the women's tournament gets rolling tomorrow. South Carolina taking on Tennessee Tech over at Colonial Life Arena at 4 o'clock. Your chance to win tickets to see them tomorrow, and let's just face it, they're going to win. They're going to play in the second round on Sunday. Your chance to win tickets to see that on Sunday as well is coming up later on today, sponsored by Anastapulo Law Firm. Don't scream, call Akeem, just dial 800-ALL-7s. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Sarah West, Chris, and Jack hanging out at Firehouse Subs on Main Street in the heart of campus here on The Game. Back in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs, out at Firehouse Subs, 633 Main Street, right here in the heart of campus. Tyler West, Chris, Jack hanging out, a guy, Larry Chandler out here with us. We'll probably talk to him in just a little bit. But, guys, we have had such a fun time keeping up with the softball team through the early part of their season so far. Hit a little bit of a skid, but got back on track by taking 2 out of 3 against Georgia this past weekend. And now joining us on the Love Chevrolet phone lines, talk about the softball team from the SEC Network, is Amanda Poole. Amanda, first of all, appreciate you taking your time for us this morning. And from your perspective, how fun's it been to watch this team this year?
Yeah, just want to start off by saying, thank you. Excited to have, a voice on here to share about the softball team this season. I mean, what a riot they have been, especially to start out. I mean, so far, just seeing the analysts, you get to dive into all these storylines, right? And with a new coach and, a bunch of transfers, there were so many things to dig into. And, preseason picked last in the SEC. And then you bring in all these Charlotte transfers. Everybody's questioning, hey, can they, play at the level the SEC demands? And then they go on, an undefeated streak to kick off the season. Then they go toe-to-toe with Oklahoma in that SEC opener, which is a tall task to ask. And then they, win their first SEC series against Georgia and found new ways to win. So it's been really fun to see them kind of succeed when a lot of people didn't think they would.
Hey, Amanda, it's Wes. Appreciate you doing this and hopping on with us. As you've kind of gotten to be around this program and get to know the girls a little bit and tell some of their stories, what can you tell us just kind of about the confidence that Coach Ashley Chastain Woodard has tried to maybe instill in the group as a whole? It seems like she carries herself with a great deal of confidence. And I feel like you've maybe already seen this team so far kind of start to take on the personality of their head coach.
Oh, definitely. And the players talk about it too, right? Because they all have, well, especially her Charlotte transfers, because they've known her for a while. But this is Ashley Chastain Woodard is a Gamecock alum, a former softball player, a pitcher who, said that she loved Beckham Field, being there, that she really grew as a woman. And that's why she got so emotional in that, press conference announcing her being the head coach, just because this means so much to her. And she bleeds that passion into her players. And I think that's why everybody's kind of on that same page, that buy-in, where we want to do something special here, not only because it means something to our coach, but it means something to us. You've got a lot of South Carolina natives on that team. You've got a lot of players that have, family that used to play softball or baseball. So this sport in that city means so much to these players. And you can see it with the passion they play. I mean, the noise in the dugout, the way they go to toe-to-toe with Oklahoma. And they have confidence, and it definitely stems from Ashley.
Amanda, it's Chris. Wanted to ask you about, your take on a couple specific players, or just rather get you to name a couple players. Obviously, you look at the pitching staff, you look at the lineup. Oftentimes it's been just a total team effort, but who are a few of the girls that have really stood out to you, as South Carolina opened with that, 19-game winning streak, going toe-to-toe, as you said, with Oklahoma? Who do you think has really been kind of at the forefront of this turnaround for Coach Chastain Woodard?
Yeah, well, interesting. So in that preseason press conference, kind of laying out how she wanted this team to look, she had said that she didn't want one ace. She wanted to have, we've got 5, right? We've got 5 that can go in that circle and put up some strikeouts or draw some ground outs, but she didn't want to rely on one. But in that Georgia series, and what you've seen is Sam Gratz, the 6th-year Charlotte transfer. She has been just kind of really come into her own and found her consistency. To start the season, she wasn't as reliable, but in that Georgia series, I mean, she pitched 2 full games and was able to close that one out. And she's got so many innings pitched in her tool belt. She's got a lot of experience, and she's got a really dangerous, she normally drops with her pitches, but she's been able to find that consistency with the rise ball now. So she's been a big threat. But I don't think Coach Chastain Woodard wants to rely on just one, but she's been their ace so far. But we could see Jory Hurd and Neely Lamb really step up. Those two I've really liked. Jory Hurd came in for a couple innings in that Georgia series as well. So she could be a reliable person. But Sam Gratz has taken the brunt of the work and really found her footing.
Been talking to Amanda Poole from the SEC Network Plus about Gamecock softball as it gets set to take on Texas Tech this upcoming weekend. Another ranked showdown here in Columbia. Let's talk a little bit of offense. What's more impressive for Quincy Lilo, the fact that she's hitting 482 or the fact that she only has 2 strikeouts so far?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love the just 2 strikeouts. I mean, that's insane. I mean, her on-base percentage over 600. Her average is 500, and she honestly hadn't been hitting the ball very well the past couple of games. So her average went down, which imagine, going down to a 500. That just sounds silly. But yeah, she's been really consistent for them, and being able to be that leadoff, you really want somebody who can get on base. It's not just about the power, right? Because she doesn't have any home runs. She just gets on base. And that's what you want, to get some runners in scoring position. And she's been someone they really rely on. And obviously for her, being that Oklahoma transfer, she really had to kind of grow emotionally through that series to open up conference play, going back to where she was, at Oklahoma. And Coach Chastain Woodard said that did her well, that she really grew, kind of took a step back and gathered herself and, learned a lot from that weekend series. And now she's been a consistent on-base runner for them, or just getting on base and starting off their offense for them.
Yeah, Amanda, she's been great. Ariana Rhodey has been exactly what I think we all expected her to be, looking at what she did at Charlotte. But then I feel like you've got some just kind of unsung heroes that have really stepped up on this team. You look at Carly Shelton, who I think's taken a big step there at second base. And then can you talk to us a little bit about her and Lexi Winters, 2 local girls? I mean, Lexi comes back, and looking at what she did at Charlotte, we were kind of all under the impression she was more of kind of a defensive specialist there at catcher, but she's hitting 351, 4 home runs, and just has been a huge part of the offense as well. So that's a couple of girls who played here locally that have been just fantastic for this team so far.
Yeah, I mean, Lexi Winters is the junior from Lexington, South Carolina, like you said, coming back home after being at Charlotte. We featured her on that Sunday game to close out the Georgia series because she was so pivotal in that Saturday win. She's been able to come up big for them, no matter where coach puts her in the lineup, because she's just able to help out there. And like you said, they brought her in as a defensive player, right? She was really great behind the plate in that catcher spot, but they were able to bring her in multiple positions and really rely on her. But yeah, she's a power swinger, that 364 average, that 682 slugging. She's just 5'5" out there, right? But she gets the job done. And I like how you bring up Carly Shelton. She's one that I'd love to talk about because she's another one of those local products, right? Just a sophomore, just 4 multi-hit games last season, but now she's been really able to step up this year. 28 hits headed into that Georgia series. She gets on base and only has five strikeouts, headed into that Georgia series. So she's pretty patient at the plate for a sophomore and has really found her footing as well. I know those are 2. I did want to bring up, I don't know if we have time, but to talk about Natalie Heath. She's one of the most interesting stories. They call her Big Bat Nat, they as in the Gamecocks. And she has been with this program. She's not a transfer. She's been with this program since she was a freshman. She's a senior now. And when she was a freshman, she was just a pinch hitter and got injured. And then in 2023, when she's a sophomore, she didn't play because of that injury. And then last year, she only played in 2 games with 1 start. And now this year, she's got 5 home runs, started in 20 games, batting at 333, a 722 slugging. She has earned that Big Bat Nat name. It's really cool to see her growth. And we actually talked to Coach Chastain Woodard about that. And she was like, she has really developed during her time here, and it's finally showing, right? She's finally healthy, getting out there and doing her thing. So Natalie Heath and Lexi Winters, battling for that catching position, but they'll come in and be that designated hitter when need be.
Amanda, a couple more minutes left here before we have a hard break. But have you dove in yet? Probably have to the next opponent, which actually out of conference, Texas Tech, a ranked team as well. Last I checked, what have you seen from the Red Raiders in the matchup here?
Texas Tech is so good. You talk about, facing tough non-conference opponents, which normally in the SEC, you want to lighten it up, right? Because you're already facing such tough opponents. But Ashley has not shied away from that. South Carolina 11th when it comes to that strength of schedule. And this is why, Texas Tech preseason number 2 in the Big 12 because Oklahoma and Texas decided to join the SEC. So Texas Tech maybe has an easier road to get a championship this year. But yeah, they've been great. I think the biggest issue South Carolina's going to face is from their pitching staff. They've got, the top 2. Well, they've got a new coach who brought in one of the best transfer classes, right? And they brought in that Stanford transfer, the ace, Najari Kennedy, who's .62 when it comes to that ERA. That puts their top 2 in the country. Their top 1 in the country was shut out. So I think finding that offensive rhythm is going to be something that will challenge South Carolina. But because this is a team that's really good and on track to do well in the Big 12, these wins will look great for the RPI.
She is Amanda Poole. You can hear her calling Gamecock softball in the SEC Network Plus again big series this weekend, taking on another ranked team in Texas Tech. Amanda, we appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you down the line as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Again, we're broadcasting live at Firehouse Sub 633 Main Street here in the heart of campus for about 30 more minutes. Come by and see us. We'll dive back into the spring football conversation coming up next here on The Game.
All right, guys, we're out here at Firehouse on Main Street for about 30 more minutes. Come on by and see us. If you can't make it before noon, that's fine. New extended hours here at Firehouse Subs USC campus location. They opened at 10. They close at 10 p.m., so you got plenty of time. Come get lunch, dinner. If you want to place a catering order, you know where to go. FirehouseSubs.com, or use my favorite method. It's the Firehouse Subs app. 15 at convenient locations all around the Midlands. No matter where you are around the Midlands, there's a Firehouse Subs close to you. And if you want to be like Tyler, if you want to prove that you can handle it, come check out the new Hot Ones themed Spicy Dill Hook and Ladder. It's a 10 on the heat level. Jack would certainly agree. It's got the Hot Ones Last Stab Reaper sauce, the marinated pickle, plank, outstanding stuff. Or come check out the garlic Fresno Hook and Ladder, the zesty garlic sauce. FirehouseSubs.com or the Firehouse Subs app. 15 locations all around the Midlands.
Back in, it's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West, Chris, Jack. I got Larry Chandler hanging out here. Lee's here from the station. Having a great time. Been a fun morning so far. Eating some sandwiches, some hot ones at that. Giving away some tickets, giving away some T-shirts. Always a great time. It's, I think, our most frequented visited location. I think this is number 4, if I remember correctly, at least since I've been here.
It's home base.
Home base.
Home campus.
Close. We're
right near the station.
We are a stone's throw away from the station, as some like to say. So, yeah, I certainly enjoy being out here watching all the kids go to class and be glad I don't have to do that anymore as we navigate through this middle of March. And obviously a ton of cool stuff happening with March Madness today. Those games tipping off here in about 30-ish minutes. Ooh. So looking forward to that and, channel surfing through the rest of the day of watching all the great games. Speaking of that, by the way, we have another pair of teams to give away for our 107.5 game bracket challenge. College number 6 and 8 right now at 803-404-6100. We'll get yourself a team. And again, you hang on to that team. If they end up running the table and winning the national championship, you will win Gamecock baseball season tickets for the rest of the season. So again, callers number 6 and 8 right now at 803-404-6100. We'll get yourself a team in the 107.5 the game bracket challenge. Before Dave, you answer those phone calls, let's hit cut number 6 here. This is Oscar Attaway yesterday talking about being one of the veterans on this team going into the 2025 season.
A lot of people try to lead by example, which is you know what I'm saying? A lot of people should lead by example, but I chose this year to lead by experience because I've done it all. I've been injured. I've been in winning good teams. I've been in sorry teams. I've been in mid-average teams. You know what I'm saying? So all of that. So experience is going to go far, far away from me and Russell.
Well, he's got a lot of experience. Again, he is going to be turning 25 later on this year. Faison already there. Again, kind of waiting on the confirmation on Faison's eligibility, but don't think that should end up being, too much of a problem there. But it is interesting because one of the great things about last year's team that got talked about a lot was how many seniors were on there. I believe 36 is what ended up graduating this past year. Now, some of those guys were walk-ons. They weren't on scholarship, but still had a lot of veteran scholarship seniors that are no longer with this team. Obviously, when you kind of look at the scholarship breakdown of the team now, it's very balanced.
On
Gamecock Central, which I go to this at least once a day. So appreciate you guys and Shu for updating that constantly. But just kind of looking at the breakdown here, you have 14 seniors, 18 juniors. This is all scholarship guys, obviously. 19 sophomores. You have 9, regular freshmen and 25 or redshirt freshmen, then 25 true freshmen coming in. So that's pretty darn balanced across the board. And for guys like Attaway and Faison, having just been around for a long time, not necessarily here at South Carolina, they're going to kind of automatically, I feel like, be looked at as those leader type of guys. And we'll see, like Oscar Attaway said, if they can lead by example with their play on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you want to strike that balance between having a lot of experience on your team, because I think like last season that you just mentioned, Tyler's a great example of it. Everybody's trying to get older and more experienced. At the same time, if you lose too much off a team, then you run the risk of being too young, too inexperienced. Now, you do have the portal that can supplement that can backfill some positions. And that's exactly what South Carolina did this offseason. So they do have a pretty good balance. You would obviously love to have a lot of those guys that made such big impacts last season. If you could have those guys back, you'd feel great. If you could have a higher percentage of them back, you would. So I think the way that Shane Beamer has been kind of labeling it this offseason, I really agree with, in that he's recognizing, hey, we are a talented team. We have a lot of talent, whether it's young talent, returning talent, or guys that we're bringing in via the transfer portal. But there are questions because they've lost, because of the guys that they lost, not only the talent, but the experience as well. So, looking specifically at running back with Oscar and Rasul, feel good because these are a couple guys that have lots of experience at multiple programs. Look at Rasul. He just is coming off his best collegiate season, 1,100 yards at Utah State, had a really, really good year. And with a combined age of 50, those are, that was one of the reasons South Carolina was so good. You look at Kyle Kennard, his age. You look at Demetrius Knight, very, very talented, very experienced. They've been through it. They've seen a lot of things. That always helps you. But then on the other side of that, you lose every captain on your team, every permanent captain, but Lenore Sellers, who is, you could argue the most talented player on the roster. got to find some guys that you can plug in there. Maybe Oscar is one of those from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah, I think I got to add in there too, man. Maybe there's a rule that to wear number 22, you just have to be physically impressive. But I couldn't help but look at Juwan Howell yesterday too and say, man, this guy looks the part when you start talking about that position. And I don't think there's a Rocket Sanders there, but I do think there's a good amount of talent in that running back room. We'll see how it all plays out in terms of the distribution of carries and all those different things. The more we hear, the more you find out. I kind of like where this offense is when you kind of look at what they have at every position going into next year. And but in terms of leadership, I do think Oscar, getting back to that part of it, is a kind of a natural leader. He's a good communicator. It's hard to lead when you're when you're only at a school for a year, like when it's your first year. And some guys can do it. I mean, but I think D Knight was just an elite leader. So
he's a natural born leader.
Yeah, that takes a special quality. But we saw it. We saw it with Spencer Rattler. How when he first got to South Carolina, he kind of just put his head down and went to work. Didn't want to kind of you can step on toes if you just come in and start telling people what to do. And I think for Attaway, though, he came in and he knew Rocket was kind of the guy maybe, but now that he's seen how everything operates, the funny thing about leaders is that sometimes you find them when there's a void to fill. If you're a young guy and there's a lot of older guys in front of you that are leading, there's not a void to fill. So you don't have that leadership does not have to come out. But once you lose a lot of those guys, for one, you saw the example of how to do it. For two, when there's a void, typically someone tries to fill a void because it's only natural for leaders to emerge. So I think you can already see some of these guys starting to do that. And Oscar obviously makes a lot of sense. Just a professional, mature guy. I don't even want to say kid, just professional, mature human who I think they're very excited has returned for another year in Columbia.
Yeah, and I think there's the different types of leadership styles. Beamer told the story the other day about how I think it was in March when they liked what they had in D Knight. They knew that D Knight, they were getting more and more excited. The excitement was kind of building about him. And then he spoke up at what was that? Maybe the Grit Night event. I think
that's what he said. Yeah,
he spoke up and he was like, "Oh my gosh, here we go. We got something here." And this was a guy who was in his first year in the program. The other day, or during that interview with Brian Thomas Jr., you heard him tell the story about Kyle Kennard. And when Kyle came in as a transfer, he didn't want to really step on toes. It was more of let me put my head down and work.
He seemed kind of be more of a quiet guy.
He's more of a lead by winning the Nagurski Award type of guy, which is fine. I think you need a blend of both of those types of guys. So I kind of think that's what South Carolina may have in this running back room. Faison, I think, is not probably my guess, just knowing him a little bit.
Sure.
Hearing some things about him, he might be more of a lead by example, whereas Oscar Attaway is going to be a little bit more of the vocal leader.
Does Oscar Attaway's dad still watch y'all on GC Live all the time?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's a big fan.
Shout out.
Yeah. Shout out to Oscar Attaway Sr.
He's quite a guy.
Absolutely.
Oscar Attaway Jr., right?
Junior. It'd be junior.
Oh, so,
yeah.
Okay. All right. That's right. Yeah, because he's the third.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. The other Oscar Attaway. The second of his name.
That's right.
There you go. We'll come back and we'll wrap up our show today here at Firehouse Subs, 633 Main Street here in downtown Columbia, heart of campus. May chat with our guy Larry Chandler as well. Coming up next is it's been a fun morning here on the game. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs out here at the Main Street location for Firehouse, the heart of campus here in downtown Columbia. Been a fun morning so far. Wes tried the spicy dill hook and ladder in that last break. How you feeling the heat yourself?
Yeah, I'm not a huge spicy guy. I like mild heat, but it was warm. I think what saved me was I just had like one bite. Like I don't know if I could sit there and like it's hot, but it's not overbearing if you have one bite.
Sitting here with the guy Larry Chandler, of course, the owner of the Firehouse Subs here in the Midlands. What was your take on eating it yourself as far as the spice goes?
I think mentally I prepared myself, but I was telling Chris a while ago that most I've done is a half of a half.
Okay.
And then I just kind of maybe 3/4, but that was about it.
I ate that. I guess that'd be about half of a medium sub. That's good. I think there was a good amount there. Maybe like a large that would maybe be pushing it a little bit, but I think that was a good dose of heat that I ate earlier.
If you don't like heat, get the zesty garlic one because it is very good and it's not spicy at all. It's got just a little hint of that zestiness, but the garlic adds to it. I think just a little twist on y'all's usual hook and ladder, which I gotta imagine is probably y'all's best seller, one of your best sellers.
Yeah, hook and ladder by far is our number one seller for sure. So,
what's your favorite all-time limited time sub? Are you can you say that?
Are you allowed to say?
Yeah.
Are you allowed?
Yeah, I'm allowed. I think I'm allowed to say. I think the most successful one over the years was the Kings Hawaiian, and then
that one was good. That was good.
We went away from it for a while, and we bring it back once in a while. We were doing it every year for a number of years, so I enjoyed that one. That's probably one of the most popular ones. I'm trying to think now. That's a good question.
I mean, they're all good. Yeah. Like all the limited times are really good. Yeah. I love the Thanksgiving one.
That's hard to beat. Reminding me of that. Yeah, that might be right up there in the top 2, 3.
I think that's probably my number one.
That's your number one
of the LTOs.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. You know, we were talking earlier about some of them we will throw on the menu permanently, and I'd like to keep them in our back pocket and once a year, like the anticipation.
Yeah.
Of course, the Thanksgiving makes perfect sense. You only bring it out once a year.
That's right.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So when you can miss it a little bit, that makes it better when it does come back, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course, March Madness getting rolling here, coming up in a few minutes. You got your bracket filled out. Who's your national champion?
Yeah, I did a few. I think I couldn't get away from the SEC, of course, but then I think I had 3 brackets: Florida, Auburn, and Alabama. It's different times.
Okay.
But no dark horse. I think I had Duke in the finals for sure. They look really good. I think, but then after that, I'm not. See what St. John's or Houston does. They're kind of dark horses, but of course Tennessee would be too. So there's like 6 or 7 I think could get the Final Four. But I think the Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Duke to me separate themselves, and of course.
Got South Carolina in the Final Four again.
Yeah, it's funny on ESPN. I saw this thing where you can do a random one, then you can let the computer pick it. Then it didn't have us. So like, not doing that again. So I got a bracket that doesn't have us winning. So
okay.
Coach Staley, don't hold that against me.
That was completely random.
Yeah, completely random. That was AI.
I will never do that AI random stuff again. I think the women. I was hoping it would be a situation we could do the kind of revenge thing. We got, Texas in Greenville, and I was hoping somewhere we get UCLA and UConn, but with the bracket setup, we can only get one of them. Yeah. So, I'm not saying I'm a revenge guy, but I like to, leave little doubt is what, I'd like to see us do.
Don's pretty good in revenge games.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So
who do you want revenge on more?
I think UConn for sure because I was there and that
was ugly.
I was shocking number 1, and then and the way they beat us. So I would definitely like to see them again for sure.
Well, we got the revenge on Iowa last year, so UConn. Hate to tell you, you got it coming for you. And Larry, you going to go to all the games?
I'm going to try to if the stars align. I'm planning on going this next couple of days this weekend, and then hopefully Birmingham, and then in Tampa. So
Yep.
I'm planning on it.
All that gets rolling tomorrow, 4 o'clock, taking on Tennessee Tech. And Larry, as always, we appreciate you letting us come hang out at another one of your locations.
I can't thank y'all enough. The day was great. I was watching y'all videotape each other. I think Jack, I want to see the video of him, right?
Yeah,
I got
definitely
you.
got it.
I got you.
That'll do
All
it
right,
for the
thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
absolutely Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Halftime show, Terry Ford live at Twin Peaks up next here on the game. Y'all don't have a